See, if at this time of the year, this montage is not your favorite thing ever to hear on Saturday mornings, I really don't know what you are doing, but whatever it is, this is the show you should be watching. My name is Ethel Poplampo and welcome to today's edition of Living Well. If you want to go out, as I always say, don't worry, you can carry us along. We are live on Facebook at Metro TV Ghana and also on Twitter at Metro TV GH. We'll be coming back with more. Stay tuned. Welcome back from that short break. Today we are going to talk about neonatal jaundice or childhood jaundice. So the topic is neonatal jaundice, spot the yellow, stop disability and death. And to help me digest this topic, let's take her profile.
Profile of Hilda Mantibia Boy. Dr. Hilda Mantibia Boy is a pediatrician at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital and a part-time lecturer at the University of Ghana Medical School in Accra. She's also a project lead for the Ghana-Accra Health Bridge, a local agency that coordinates professional development courses with the University of Washington. Over 1,200 healthcare professionals have benefited from programs hosted on her site since its inception in September 2020. She has also recently been elected President of the Pediatric Society of Ghana. A passionate public healthcare advocate, Hilda has been the host of many media shows and live community gatherings. Her interest in ensuring health promotion through credible and comprehensive public care education culminated in her co-founding the JH Health Connect, a health training and media consultancy services provider. Dr. Boy was the founding president of the U.S. Ghana Alumni Association, an umbrella of all Ghanaian beneficiaries of any U.S. educational and cultural exchange programs. Hilda has a special interest in community pediatrics.
Hi, welcome, Dr. Boy.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you are here. As we were talking before the show began, we have a lot to talk about because there are certain things that I don't even know that could happen if your child has joined this. But then let's go on the street and find out what people really know about neonatal jaundice.
Okay.
The minimum effort jaundice say young colani say. Colabi wa wona. Bon say no wa yellow. Yellow no ebi o da wana no wa shi ni moja timire. This all no go to hospital ebi o betime da hospital 3 months ya man ni moja. Ebi o de ni be du fia na asan aba. De bi o call off. O timi call off. Na wa ye kitikiti ebi wa na fu aye kase na ni tira horo. Nti de minim fa won so no.
Aye emofra ma omani aye yaro. Etimi ekuni panso.
Jaundice, ubusam jaundice ho asem. Na me se eye mofra ehu empanifo krampo ya na ehu pa. Se ba na se ehu ne ntem ko etimi kun. Se ne Yankopon da wo ma se edru bebraba. Ti se de ye first no be hu eda wani so hu esiew. Epese kun a etimi siew. Wo be ko hospital akwa wo hu yare kroda. Ti ansa na wo be hu krampo no na aye late. Be hu na obi kra etimi ba se wo mpo a. Be hu na fra mu se ni nsam na yina ye yellow so se Yankopon da woman Yankopon adom se ye hu anu aduru kakra ti se de ye
ya lende mete kura na miso but enima de potin de ba ada se bi efin de ba na se adekora de ba no minim e kase minim adekora de ba de a na etro minim adekora ade de ba.
Interesting views there on the street, but let's go to Dr. Hilda. If you had to rate the street quiz and the street knowledge over 10, what will you give the people on the street?
About 4/10.
Ah, is that bad?
Oh, no.
It's not even 5.
No, because they have an idea.
Yeah.
But if the question was neonatal jaundice, then they mixed it because a lot of them were talking about jaundice in adults. But there's some idea of what it is. But neonatal jaundice is like just 1 out of the 5 or so that talked about it in the baby. That's why I said 4 out of 10.
Okay, but then
yes.
we are so glad that you are here.
Yes.
And so you help us understand what exactly neonatal jaundice is. As you said, they mixed up what jaundice in adults are and what jaundice in babies are. So tell us, what is the difference?
All right. Just to start that, jaundice means a yellow discoloration. So jaune in French means yellow, is the color yellow. So jaundice is yellowish discoloration. And this yellowish discoloration, you will see it on the human body, on the eye. The white part of the eye turns yellow. So instead of being white, it becomes yellow. Sometimes you can see it on the skin too. It's difficult for people who have not been trained to appreciate it on the skin or the palms and the sole of their feet. But at least for the eyes, many people are able to tell that it's supposed to be white. The sclera is supposed to be white, but then it is yellow now. Now, when we say neonate or newborn, it's a baby who has been born, who is less than 28 days of life or less than a month of life. So bringing it together, newborn or neonatal jaundice is the yellowish discoloration of the eyes and or skin in a baby who is less than a month of life.
Okay. Speaking to a lot of people, a lot of mothers, it's like, oh, na me bampo nyebi. Oh, and normal. My question is it normal, and why do we see it happening a lot among neonates?
Neonates or the newborns have just been born, and their liver is not mature to handle the breakdown, the load of their red blood cells when they break down. So then they tend to become jaundiced. If you pick about 10 babies, about 5 of them are likely to become jaundiced.
Is it a normal thing?
It's normal to a large extent, or expected to a large extent. So in the newborn period, we expect many babies to become jaundice or yellow. If they are born term or after 9 months of pregnancy, you expect about 6 out of 10 of them to become jaundiced.
Is this normal in quotes? Is this jaundice being normal in quotes specific to this part of the world or everywhere in the world? It's normal for 5 out of 10 babies to have neonatal jaundice?
Yes, this is across the world. So across the world, we expect that out of 10 babies who are born after 9 months, we will have about 5 or 6 of them becoming jaundiced. And if they are born premature or before the 9 months of birth, of pregnancy or gestation, then about 8 out of 10 of them. So it's more common amongst preterms or premature babies than amongst babies who were born after 9 months.
You've mentioned that it's somehow normal.
Yes.
But what causes it?
All right. There's what we call the physiological jaundice, which I've alluded to earlier, that because the baby is a baby, liver is not that matured, so baby can easily get jaundiced. And then we have causes from, because the baby is also premature, then they are more likely. That's another thing. So prematurity is also a cause of neonatal jaundice. Then we have causes like differences in the blood group between the baby and the mother. So let's say mother is blood group O and baby is blood group A or blood group B. Because mother's blood group is different, baby's blood group is different, there could be some mixing which will cause red blood cells to break down, which will cause the baby to become jaundiced.
Right. As much as it's somehow normal, should there be a cause for alarm?
Well, there are times when the jaundice can go to the brain, or the compound that is causing the jaundice can go to the brain and cause damage to the brain. Let me just simplify. It can cause damage to the brain. When I was talking about the causes, I didn't really go deep, but then you could have resource incompatibility. Maybe mother is O negative, baby is O positive. Because mother is negative, baby is positive, there can be reactions, and then baby can get jaundice. And some of these can cause the baby to become very jaundiced, severely jaundiced, and the compound, the bilirubin, can go to the brain and cause damage to the brain. So it can be severe. There are other causes which can affect the liver and cause liver damage too. So it is something that we should know about because it is common, and because unfortunately we have some babies showing up in hospital a little too late. Because if you have your baby coming to hospital because of jaundice and the baby survives, but survives with brain damage which could have been prevented, then that is, yes, it is. You know how management of children with disability, or keeping a child or caring for a child with disability at home can be. It's very difficult. So if it's something that we can prevent, why not? And many of the causes are things that for some of them you can do something about, for others you may not be able to do anything about. But once you come to hospital early, we are able to do something about it, intervene. If the baby needs surgery, for example, we're able to refer.
You can need surgery to correct jaundice.
Yes.
Wow.
In some cases, it may be surgical intervention that is required if there's a problem with the liver, like what we call biliary atresia. In such cases, we'll refer to the pediatric surgeons. They will see the child, assess, and go ahead with the surgical procedure.
We'll be going into how to diagnose jaundice, but then there's this word you mentioned, bilirubin.
Bilirubin, yes.
When I was reading about neonatal jaundice, it kept popping up.
Yes.
And I was wondering, what does the word mean? Tell me, what does it mean?
Bilirubin is the compound that causes, it's like a breakdown of a product of the breakdown of the red blood cells, and it's that compound that causes the yellow discoloration that we see. So that's why it's called bilirubin.
Okay.
Yes.
Now let's go. How you mentioned earlier also that it takes an expert to be able to spot the yellow on the skin.
Yes.
So how do you diagnose jaundice? Since it's quite common, how are we able to know that this is a healthy child, this child needs care? How do we diagnose it?
It's just about spotting the yellow or looking for the yellow. In the first few days of life, because we know that it's so common, we tell mothers that they should look at the baby's eye. We are not saying that go and try and open the baby's eyes by force. No, that's not what we are saying. We are saying that within the first few days of life, by all means, you will have the opportunity to see the baby's eyes, either when you are bathing or when the baby finishes feeding and is trying to look at your face or something. So try and look at the baby's eyes. And often, even for those who come late to hospital, somebody spotted it and thought, oh, this one is nothing. It will just go away, so don't worry about it. So mothers sort of know that this eye is supposed to be white and not yellow. And so when it turns yellow, they are also able to tell. So just know that one and look out for the jaundice in your baby's eyes. By the time it's very visible on the skin or on the palms or on the soles of the feet, it may be a little late.
Right. I'm thinking that if you deliver in a hospital, nurses might spot the yellow and then give treatment as it is due. But then you keep mentioning if you spot it, bring the child home. Are there situations where the child goes home before the jaundice comes? And whilst we were listening to the Vox Pop, this is 2-in-1 question, pardon me. Whilst we were listening to the Vox Pop, the first lady, one of the ladies said, "It miss you. You can't find." Is there a situation in babies that you are really seeing? It takes time for it to be noticed, even to the extent that your skin, the baby's skin becomes yellow before we notice that, oh, there's something wrong. Is that a thing?
Thankfully for babies, once they are jaundiced, and you can see. You could say this is mild, or this is moderate, or this is severe. So all that depends on, in a way, the intensity or how deep the yellow is. Sometimes it's there, but it's light. And as the days progress, it becomes deeper and deeper and deeper. And then you may begin to see it on the skin, and you may begin to see it in the palms and on the soles of feet. So it doesn't hide. There are some that it will appear within the first 24 hours of life, or when the baby is less than a day of age. Those ones will say it's pathological jaundice, meaning that it's jaundice that is definitely caused by something aside the fact that the baby is a baby.
Okay.
And so we should look into it. So there will definitely want to do some tests to see the G6PD, is it normal? Does the baby have an infection? The blood group of the mother. We will definitely do some lab tests to see what is happening to the baby. If it happens after 2 days, like 2 days, 3 days, or 4 days, then it may also be the physiological one, or from any of the other causes that I mentioned earlier. So there too, we will look at it, but it depends on how deep the jaundice is at that point. There are unfortunately some cases that are missed in hospital.
Yeah.
There are times that we've had bad cases in the past where mother would say, oh, but my auntie saw it. And sometimes, you know, in the hospital, when the mothers have delivered and are on the maternity wards, the attention tends to be more on the pregnant woman who has just delivered than on the baby. So as we do our awareness creation over the years, we do training for the healthcare professionals, for the midwives, for everyone, so that they are all very conscious and alert when the babies are born and pay attention. So it is something that both health workers need to spot and the general public need to be aware of. But it's best for the baby if everybody is also aware of this, so that nobody misses it at any point in time.
We've established what neonatal jaundice is. We've established what causes it. But I want to find out, when a child has neonatal jaundice, does it predispose the child to getting adult jaundice in adults when they grow up?
All right. Not necessarily.
Okay.
The reason I'll say not necessarily is that many of them are causes that once you treat it within the first few days of life, that is it. Let's say if it's an infection that was causing it, once you treat it, that's it. If it's the difference in the baby's blood group and the mother's blood group, after that neonatal period, you don't expect it to come back. If there are other things, maybe there's a liver problem, there's G6PD deficiency, or there are other things, then those ones may cause the baby to have recurrent jaundice or have jaundice again in the future. So if you have G6PD deficiency, for example, there are some medications that you shouldn't take. There's some food like fava beans that you shouldn't take. So if you go taking those ones, you are likely to become jaundiced again. But it's not because you had neonatal jaundice. So no, neonatal jaundice doesn't mean that you keep having jaundice for the rest of your life. And there are many other things that will cause children to become jaundiced. So older children can have jaundice from sickle cell disease. So they may have recurrent jaundice from sickle cell disease. If you have severe malaria, you could have jaundice because your red blood cells will break down, your urine will become dark, and then you will see that the person has become jaundiced. So these are just examples. But having jaundice in the newborn period does not mean you will have jaundice when you are older or an adult.
That's refreshing to know, because for someone who is passionate about newborns and babies, I just want to find out, how do we treat this jaundice when it's discovered? I hope it's not painful to the babies.
All right. When the mothers bring the babies to hospital, what we'll do is we'll assess. Now, if you are a trained professional, let's say a pediatrician or somebody who is very skilled in it, you are able to say, oh, this one, it doesn't look deep. Let's observe. Maybe come tomorrow or the day after. Let's see how it's looking like. So the babies
can clear up their own jaundice?
Yes. For many of them, especially the physiological one that I mentioned earlier, you don't need any intervention. Over the days, it will go away on its own. You don't need to do anything. But it also depends on, but you need supervision. Like, it's not something that will say that, oh, mother, look at it at home and just do whatever you like. No. We advise that they all come to hospital, because you don't know how it will progress. There are some which will come, it will be mild from the beginning, it will stay mild and clear over the next few days. Those are there. And there are some too, you spot it today, by tomorrow maybe it's become really high, and if you are not careful, it goes to the brain. So that's why we say that come to hospital and so we can do visual assessment, examination, and say that okay, go home, come back in 2 days or so. And depending on what we see, we may say that let's do this lab or that lab. So for the labs, we could say let's do the serum bilirubin, that test that would tell us the level of the bilirubin in the blood, or how high the jaundice is in the blood, literally, and what components. So that will help us to know whether it is something of a liver damage origin, or it's something that we just need to maybe put under the phototherapy light or something for.
Okay, so phototherapy is also a type of treatment.
Yes, phototherapy is a type of treatment that we use.
So there's no need to administer drugs or anything for jaundice in babies.
If there is infection as the cause or whatever came with it, then you will need to treat the infection. But no, you are not treating the jaundice with the antibiotics, yes, but it will help you because that may have been what predisposed the child to having the
earlier
jaundice.
You mentioned surgery. At what point does the surgery come in?
The surgery comes in when they have the pathologies in the liver, like biliary atresia.
Okay.
So there we encourage that they come as quickly as possible, because after a certain time you cannot do the surgery.
Right.
So you show up before 2 months. Let me just show up before 2 months so that the surgery can be planned before baby is 3 months, because after that, liver damage and there's nothing you can do.
Right. I always say that babies are so vulnerable and so innocent that it boils down to us, the adults and the mothers and the families. In Africa, we say it takes a whole village to raise a child. So it boils down on us to take care of these children, being it physically, medically, psychologically, religiously, anything that will groom that child. And so it's important that we throw the spotlight on some of these things that in our society and in our communities we say, oh, jaundice is normal. But it's good that we are having this conversation to see that as much as it's normal, the least mistake can cause a whole lot of damage. We are still discussing neonatal jaundice here on the Living Well Show with me, Ethel Poplampo. Let's go for a break. We'll be right back. I said it in my intro and I will say it again. If as at now, this montage is not your favorite song in the world, I don't know what you are doing, because even my guest is dancing. And I think if we put this song on the Apple chart, we'll be leading. But that being said, let's take our Didinho. I hope my boss saw this thing, so that if you come and see me sleeping, I'm just trying to stay alive so that I can do more of the work. It's not anything there. But let's go to Gomwa, where a report has come saying that the prevalence rate in neonatal jaundice is on the ascendancy there. Let's take the story. We'll be right back.
According to health professionals, newborn jaundice is one of the fatal diseases amongst neonates and requires urgent attention. In the Gomwa East District of the Central Region, health officials describe the situation as alarming, since most parents consider the disease as spiritual and mostly resort to herbal concoctions which do not provide effective remedy to the disease. At the launch of the Yellow Month to embark on an intensive campaign against newborn jaundice, a senior pediatrician at the St. Gregory Hospital in Gomwa, Bunuburam, Belinda Dodo, mentioned the use of herbal concoctions during pregnancy, improper care for the umbilical cord, amongst other factors, including exposure of camphor are some of the immediate causes of the disease. The disease can affect the brain as well as other organs of the human body and sometimes result in some form of disabilities. It can cripple children for good and sometimes may delay walking.
The bilirubin that is in the blood that is causing the jaundice goes to stain the brainstem, or it gets into the brain, then it leads to disability and death, and delayed developmental milestones. So when the child is supposed to gain neck control, the child is not able to. When the child is at the time the child is should be able to sit, the child is not able to, like that. They are not able to walk at the appropriate age and all that. So disability, and then some of them would also die as a result of this complication.
Parents are, however, admonished to immediately take their wards to the health facility just when any sign of jaundice is spotted to prevent disability and death. Some of the early signs include yellow eyes, pale skin, and stool. Madame Dodo assured the readiness of health facilities and workers to help in finding remedy for jaundiced babies.
The problem is that when we don't know the cause, for some of them we have the physiological one and then we have the pathological one, which would usually develop within the first 24 to 48 hours. That is very dangerous, and whatever or whichever jaundice that a mother notices or picks up, the child should be brought to the hospital for assessment so that we would know what is causing the jaundice, so that the appropriate treatment can be given. So we don't need to keep the babies in the house because you wouldn't know the cause.
Right. I might have a lot to say about this report, but then let me just hold my horses. We understand from the reports that the prevalence rate at Gomwa is on the ascendancy due to some of the issues they raised in the report. Do you think that a geographical setting can predispose kids to jaundice?
It may, depending on some of the factors that are prevailing there. So like I talked about infections, if you have a place where the environment is dirty, the mothers are not taking good care of the babies, or they themselves are getting a lot of infections which will end up being transmitted like to the baby in a way, then in such a place it will not be surprising if you have the babies having recording higher incidences of neonatal jaundice. But 6 out of 10 or 1 out of 2 is already high enough. And we know that it is more to be expected than something that is rare. So we all need to sort of sit up and prepare to deal with it. And for the treatment, a number of the things that we need, or for the management, a number of the things that we need is not always there, depending on where you find yourself. You may need to do labs. If you are in a facility or you work in a place where getting support for the laboratory is difficult, then you will have problems managing a child with neonatal jaundice. If you are at a place where you don't have the phototherapy equipment or the machines that will put the babies under, the blue lights that will put the babies under, then you will have problems, because even though you can diagnose it, you will not be able to treat the child and you will need to refer the child. Sometimes you know that in some of these places, even when you refer them, they don't go because maybe there's no money for transportation or for ambulance, or so they may not go. About 2 years ago, the Pediatric Society launched an initiative to equip the facilities with the equipment, and we've been able to give about 6. It was one region, one set of phototherapy equipment campaign, so that we will raise funds to equip some of these facilities. At least every region should have. It will not be sufficient, but we wanted to bring the attention of the general public to it, that you can support your health facility to get equipment to help in the treatment of newborns with jaundice.
Right. And how is there a way we can prevent newborns from getting jaundice? Because I'm thinking about it, and it's no fault of the children that they are. And reading about pregnancy and children and all that, I understand that most of the things that happen to the baby is as a result of the mother's behavior or what they were exposed to, or in it, even to the extent of the child being smart. They always say the mother. So is there something the mother can do to prevent their child from getting jaundice?
It will start from even prenatally then. prenatally, know your health status, take good care of yourself, eat well, go, and then when you get pregnant, attend the antenatal clinic so that if there's any problem, any infection, whatever it is, those can be treated. Deliver in hospital to reduce the risk of infection to the baby. And when baby is born, ensure that you initiate breastfeeding. So as for that one, it's for the healthcare professionals, because we tell them that early initiation of breastfeeding keeps the yellow away. Within the first hour, baby needs to be put to breast so that the hydration starts from there, feeding starts from there.
This issue of breastfeeding, I understand that certain women don't produce milk right away. They don't even, at the long run, certain women even don't, some women don't produce milk right away, but then you are here telling me that breastfeeding within the first 1 hour prevents the yellow. In cases that the women who do not produce breast milk, how do they handle that?
What we say about the early initiation is that we don't expect that immediately the breast milk will start dropping. For some people it will, for others it may take an hour, 2 hours, a little longer, but baby will still be fine. When you put the baby to breast, it will encourage the lactation or the breast milk flow. So the baby sucks and then hormones are released, and then gradually the breast milk production kickstarts and baby starts getting. And I have recently done a study on the various wards at the maternity unit and found that for many of these mothers, it's not that they are not lactating. Sometimes the breast milk is coming, and because at the beginning it will come not plenty, it will not come like as a big gush, just a few drops, or they may not appreciate it or see it. So sometimes when you wear your gloves and you try to express and they see that, oh, the breast milk is coming, then they are happy. Okay,
but can we also think about the women who don't produce at all?
Yes.
What do they do?
Yes, for those who don't produce at all, breast milk substitutes are there. If you have human donor milk, that's also an option. But these are decisions that are taken by the clinicians. And you know, we are breastfeeding friendly hospitals, so we encourage breastfeeding as much as possible. And any other substitute is treated as like a medication in quotes. It has to be prescribed before it is given to baby. So breastfeeding, because many women are able to breastfeed their babies when they have the right support. And once baby gets the breast milk, it helps to clear the gut, and then jaundice doesn't become a problem.
Right. For the people who love to exercise, the next segment is for you. Let's take the aerobic session.
Now we're going to do abs and core exercises. Do it better. 1, thank you. Keep it, do it again. 2, nice one. Good, perfect, man. You're doing well, man. Put a smile on your face. Lovely. Counting. 1. Oh, come on. 2. So easy, man. You know a good coordination. Let's go. Let's go. 5, 4, 3, 2, and fire. Give me 2. 1. Are you there? And good. Perfect. Ladies, you ready? Okay, now we'll move to the side obliques. Ready? We need to tie the side. 1, 2, 3, and going. 1. Keep moving. Twist. Turn the whole body. Thank you. Keep moving. Push smile.
I heard my producer shouting at the back. She shouldn't laugh at me. I won't laugh at you on air. I'll meet you behind closed door. And as I was introduced the first one, I said, those who like exercise, this one is for you. Those of us who like food, our own is coming. Foodies joint is next.
Welcome back to another episode of Living Well here on Metro TV. My name is Dale Freeman. I am the executive chef here at Alisa Hotels, Northridge in Accra. So today we're going to make a lovely healthy smoothie. So once you come back from your being time at the gym, or you've been for a walk, or any type of exercise, come back home, make your smoothie, re-energize your body with all the stuff that you need. So let's start smoothing. Let's start making this minty booster. So what we're going to need, 1 is a blender, 2, some chopped up pineapple. Now pineapple is very good for any recovery, if you've had surgery or any athlete's injury or anything like that. Pineapple is very good for that. So we want to add about half a pineapple into there. Okay, then what we've got here is some mint leaves. A good couple of handfuls of mint leaves. This is very nutritious. Okay. Also what mint does as well, it boosts your immune system. So if you're feeling down, then make yourself some mint tea or mint or like something like this, a nice smoothie, then it'll work perfectly. Okay, then we've got some cucumber. So what I've done is I've taken the seeds out and I've added and chopped up. Okay, this helps lower your blood sugar levels. Then what I've got is I've got some ginger. Okay, now ginger is very good for you, as I know here everyone loves ginger. Okay, so 1 teaspoon of ginger goes in. Again, the honey, which is natural sugars, which is 25 mils of honey, is going to go in. Okay, then what we've got here is our Greek yogurt, again full of good protein and everything else. So that is 200 mils of yogurt going in as well. Okay, let's put that one on top. Put the lid on top and let's get blending. Okay, so what I've done there is I've blended it for 40 seconds on high. So now what we can do is pour this lovely mint booster into a jar full of goodness, full of nutrients. Got a garnish of some mint, some pineapple, stems, and there we go. Till the next time on the Living Well Health Show on Metro TV, my name is Dale Freeman and I'm signing off. Yummy, give it a go.
It's amazing things food can do to your body. I'm not even trying to be funny. I know I like food, but I'm not even trying to be funny. It can be a source of medicine to you. It can be It can be everything depending on what you put into your body. That being said, are there particular foods pregnant women are supposed to eat, maybe to prevent issues like neonatal jaundice and even exercise, as we saw earlier?
A regular balanced meal is good enough, and not particularly to go preventing it, but just to stay healthy for the pregnancy and to be able to have a baby who has good weight. So they should eat well, balanced food with fruits, with veggies, with everything. And this is not a good time for taboos. I don't eat this, I don't, you know, there are some people who say, I don't eat snails, not because of allergies, but because culturally they feel, and my family doesn't eat. If it's not for allergies, then as much as possible, eat from a wide variety of foods, because the more variety you have, the more options you have for the nutrients.
Congratulations on your election. You thought
Thank you very much.
I will say it. Congratulations. You are the new president-elect of the Pediatric Society. What should we expect from your administration as a new president-elect?
We, the Pediatric Society of Ghana, very passionate about
being diplomatic already.
We are passionate about child advocacy, and that is really what we stand for. So to bring the issues of children affecting child health and well-being to the front burner in this country. With the recent issue of the vaccine shortages, I'm sure you saw
I personally did a story on it.
Okay, a number of us were on air all over talking about it and advocating for the children. There are many other issues affecting children in the country that need national attention, and we'll do our bit to get those done and to ensure that 50 years from now, 100 years from now, the kind of people or adults that Ghana has will be adults that have been well groomed, that have had good health, and can put us up there on the world map.
I totally agree with you that if we are going to build a stronger future, it has to start from now. Giving the best to our babies and giving the best to our infants. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
It's been a pleasure.
It has been fun. I enjoyed every bit of the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ethel.
My name is Ethel Poplampo. Remember to stay healthy, live well, and enjoy life. See you next week.